believe it? The first time in human history that man killed man. It all began with a quiet, silent envy buried deep inside the human heart. The Holy Bible, Book of Genesis, reveals, perhaps, Cain and Abel may not just be figures from the distant past. They may live within the heart of every one of us. The question is, what if you could witness the very beginning of it all? I'm going to take you back to the earliest moments of the world, not as a lesson, but as an experience. Through cinematic storytelling, we will explore this ancient text from the perspective of those who lived it and connect it to modern science and human understanding. No complex theology, no heavy-handed sermons, just a story about light, darkness, and the origin of everything. Right now, you weren't there. But what if you could be there? I'll tell this story as if you were right there yourself. After Adam and Eve were cast out of Eden, the world of humanity would never be the same. Genesis chapter 4 tells us, Eve gave birth to her firstborn son, Cain, and later, a younger brother named Abel. But these two brothers chose very different paths. Cain worked the soil, representing the material world. Abel was a shepherd, representing purity and offering. This may seem like a small detail, but in truth, it is the symbol of two types of human beings. One, bound to the material world. The other, living by faith and devotion. Why was God more pleased with Abel? One day, both brothers brought offerings before God. Why was God more pleased with Abel? One day, both brothers brought offerings before God. Cain brought produce from the ground, but Abel brought the firstborn of his flock and the very best of it. And the scripture says, God was pleased with Abel, but not with Cain. This is the question people have wrestled with for thousands of years. Was God playing favorites? Or perhaps what God was looking at was not the gift itself, but the heart behind it. The Bible tells us Abel offered his first and his best from his flock, while Cain offered only some of his produce out of obligation. And this is one of the most dangerous patterns in human life, because sometimes we do the right things without our heart truly being in it. Cain's anger begins to rise. Cain grew angry, not just at God, but deep down, he was angry at himself for not measuring up to his brother. And God spoke to him. Sin is crouching at the door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it. Sin is not described here as merely a wrongdoing. It is described as a living thing, waiting to devour mankind. This is one of the most profound sentences in all of Scripture, because sin is compared to a predator. It waits for its moment. It waits for the day our hearts grow weak, the day when envy, anger, and feelings of inadequacy take root inside us. The first murder in human history. One day, Cain invited his brother out into the field, and he killed Abel. This was the first murder in all of human history. But what's striking is this. The root cause was not war, not money, not power. It began with comparing himself to someone else. When a person feels that another is better than them, instead of improving themselves, some people choose to destroy the other instead. And this is something that still repeats itself in the world today. Injustice never truly disappears. After Abel died, God asked Cain, "Where is your brother?" But Cain answered, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" That answer was ice cold. And God declared, "Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." This sentence means injustice never truly goes silent. Every action of man always leaves a mark upon the world. The curse of Cain. Cain was cursed to become a wanderer. The very ground he had worked would no longer yield its strength for him. This was not merely a physical punishment. It was the loss of inner peace. Cain was still alive, but he had become a man severed from everything. Separated from God, separated from family, separated from himself. The paradox. Cain's line built civilization. But here is what is profoundly fascinating from Scripture. After all of that, the lineage of Cain went on to build civilization. They built cities, they created music, they forged metal tools, they developed technology. It's as if Scripture is asking the question, perhaps human civilization itself was born from inner brokenness, from those who had lost everything. Humanity built cities, created music, built technology to fill something inside that had been lost. The story of Cain and Abel is our story. This story may not just be about two people in the past. It may be the story of every human being. Because within each of us, there may be both Abel and Cain living side by side. One side wants to do good, but the other side envies, grows angry, and wants to overcome others. And the most important question of Genesis chapter 4 is, before the darkness within us grows too powerful, can we master it? Or in the end, will it master us instead? The expansion of violence. The Bible continues, and violence spreads. Cain killed one man and was filled with fear. But Lamech boasted about killing. This shows that sin was multiplying. Envy, violence, revenge, a culture of violence. This is the picture of human society drifting further and further from God. Seth, a new hope for humanity. After Abel died, Adam and Eve gave birth to Seth. And at the close of the scripture, it says, "At that time, people began to call on the name of the Lord." This is the light of hope. Even though the world was filled with death, envy, violence, some of humanity still began to seek God. If you enjoyed this content about the Bible, philosophy, psychology, and the deepest meanings of human existence, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Because sometimes the oldest stories of humanity may be the ones that explain our world today most clearly. And you, where do you think Cain exists in the world today?